So what's good, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So across this offseason, I've kind of been trying to come up with content to make during the time where NBA news is at an all-time low. Basically, from when free agency ends to the beginning of the regular season, there's very little stuff that happens outside of, obviously, major news such as the Ime Udoka situation, stuff like that, or the occasional trade. Donovan Mitchell was a big one for sure, but stuff like that only comes every once in a while in the offseason. And once you've finished free agency and the draft, you really don't have a lot of content to talk about in general when it comes to the NBA. So the last few months, or the last few weeks more so, I have been going through every NBA team that has popped in my head, and I wanted to talk about how I'm feeling about for their NBA season. So far, I've talked about the Raptors, the Magic, I think I've done the Cavaliers, maybe the Pistons. I'm not quite sure. I've done the Bulls. I've done the Bucks, the Jazz. I've done a lot of NBA teams, but probably, in my opinion, the one that I have been avoiding because we just don't know what to expect with the New Orleans Pelicans. You already knew what team it was. I kind of wanted some suspense there, but you know from the title and the thumbnail, what are the New Orleans Pelicans going to do this season? Now, there has been some positive news on Zion Williamson, if I had to say that. He's looking a lot slimmer. He's looks like he's just kind of gotten leaner per se. He obviously doesn't have as much weight as he did last year, but I mean, if we take into account his rookie season, he wasn't in the greatest shape, and he had arguably one of the best rookie debuts of all time. He had an amazing rookie season. Unfortunately, due to injuries, time missed, and stuff like that, he missed out on the Rookie of the Year. But Zion Williamson should, and theoretically has officially been announced that he will be back this season. Now, we had that little bit there where kind of weren't sure whether or not Zion Williamson would be playing for the Pelicans again. They had that time there where he, some under-the-table comments, some rumors were spreading around that Zion would want out of New Orleans just because they didn't look like they were going to be competing, but they went out there, they made moves to compete, and in my opinion, this offseason or this postseason, they were one of the more exciting teams. I found myself rooting for them. Jose Alvarado, CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram, Jonas Valanciunas, all of those guys, I found myself rooting for them, and they did okay. They did decent. Obviously, with Zion, they're going to be a much better team overall-wise and just defensively and offensively, individually-wise. But I was really excited for this Pelicans team last postseason after that CJ McCollum trade because I kind of thought CJ McCollum got a lot of hate in Portland, and he had a chance here to prove himself, and in my opinion, he did just that. Obviously, they lost to the Suns, but they made them work for it. They stole a couple games. They have done amazing jobs drafting guys or getting undrafted guys. Herb Jones looks like he has so much potential. I'm a guy that is pretty big on Trey Murphy as well. They just have a lot of talent on this roster, and if you look at it, Zion coming back is going to be a big accomplishment for this Pelicans team. They had last year where Zion was gone pretty much the entire season, and we kind of didn't know where they were going to be going the next few years because if Zion wants out, then it's likely, they're going to make a trade and they're going to probably do another rebuild. But if Zion stays in New Orleans, then this team has all the potential in the world to be a contender, and I don't think they're quite there just yet. I know Zion, he didn't play at all last year. He's got a lot of room to improve. He's still got to get better as an NBA player overall because at the end of the day, he's only played one season, but this Pelicans team is going to be one that you do not want to mess with next season. If they can have that same grit and grind mentality as they did last year with Zion on the court, there is no telling what they can accomplish in the playoffs, and I could very easily see them pulling off an upset and maybe even making a push into the second round or close to the Eastern Conference Finals next year, and that's just because of how much talent I believe Zion has. Now, obviously, we do have, an estimate of what we expect out of Zion. 27 points, 7 rebounds, and about 4 assists, and named an all-star at just 20 years old. Very talented guy, obviously. He has all the talent in the world, and it kind of seems like his body has just been, stopping him from becoming as good as he possibly can. But we saw it in college. He had an injury there that caused him to miss a little bit of the season. He missed time in his rookie year, which caused him to lose that Rookie of the Year race, and also last year missing the entire year due to an injury, and I believe it ended up being a foot injury that is keeping him out, or that kept him, people weren't sure if he was going to be in training camp, but unfortunately for them, they did end up announcing that Zion Williamson was able to practice, and he has just seemed like he's taking this really seriously. He's slimming down, and I'm not saying, he's losing all his body weight. He is still a big guy, but he is getting leaner. He's getting some more muscles on him. He is really working and training to become a better NBA player, and I think there's a lot of people that could really take a piece out of Zion Williamson's page of hard work and dedication, because he looks like he is taking this very, very seriously. And if we can see Brandon Ingram, who I'm very big on, don't think he's a superstar, but I think he's just good enough right where he's at right now. I think that's a consistent spot that he can probably hold for the remainder of his career and maybe get a little higher, but he probably doesn't have a much higher ceiling. But with Willie Green as a pretty good head coach in his first year, he's had time to get that chemistry going. He's had time to put his scheme into play. He's got pretty much the same core as last year. They didn't really lose any major pieces. You've got Herb Jones coming in, who can continue to grow. Jose Alvarado really jumped out last year, and he looked amazing in the playoffs especially. He has really came out as a great NBA player, and I think he can continue and improve. CJ McCollum obviously did really well with the Trailblazers those years he was there, all those years he was there, but he kind of struggled in the playoffs, and he has an opportunity here to make this his legacy. If the Pelicans do good and he can show out in the playoffs alongside Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram and Jonas Valanciunas, then this can be what people remember him for. So there's a lot at stake for this Pelicans organization and for this Pelicans team, and I think they have a very good chance with Zion coming back of being a deep playoff contender. I don't think they're going to be a fraud. I don't think they're going to make a finals necessarily in this first year, but they have room. They've got players that can continue to get better, and I'm just excited to see this team play. I mean, it's been a while since we've seen Zion really do anything. We've seen him in a couple of clips, dunking before games, after games, and practice. We've been teased enough, and I think it's time that we finally get to see just how far Zion has come as an NBA player. And I don't expect him to be refined. I expect him to be a little rusty. He hasn't been able to really train. It's not like he's been sitting in the offseason doing nothing this entire time. He's been recovering from an injury, but I do expect him to come out with a little bit better IQ, a little bit better overall intangibles, and that's something that could really, really improve Zion as a player and this Pelicans team as an organization. Anyways, though, that's where I stand on the Pelicans. As always, if you guys do disagree, these are my opinions. I'd love to hear from you in the comments down below. If you enjoy my content, I ask you to hit the like button and subscribe. It helps me out so much, and it also helps you out when you do that and you turn on post notifications so you always see every video that I post. Make sure you turn those on so you can look at all my playlists if you go to my channel page as well. Thank you all for watching. I'll talk to you guys next time. Peace.